Today, we are living in the age of technology. Information about anything is available at your fingertips. Let's take an example. Let's say you are buying a smartphone. Finding information about this phone, about the hardware or the software, reliability, operating system, speed, and whatnot. Since this information is readily available online from numerous sources, making a decision becomes much easier. However, when it comes to the interactive displays or the digital boards, the information available is actually very minimal. You will either hear it from the brand or from the partners who are selling those brands. They would obviously talk about what they have, right? This often makes you believe that the basic features, what most of them have, is the whole spectrum. But that's not true. As you can see, we have 2 to 3 different interactive panels here. Similarly looking, of course, 80 to 90% of them in the market would also look the same. While there might be slight differences in terms of color or what you can see in the first glance. But when you look deep in terms of performance, they would be very different. So we thought, why not break this down into simple factors to make your decision-making process easier. This is going to be a lengthier video as I'm going to break down the digital boards into multiple components and explain them individually because we feel that it's very important for all of you to know this before making a huge investment. So here we go. The first is the hardware. Just like the smartphones have components like chipsets, camera, the display resolution that determine their quality, the digital boards too consist of components like processor, RAM, chipsets and displays that define their performance and quality. The second is the software, the heart and soul of any interactive display. Similar to how in the smartphones we have the apps for messaging, calls, content creation, social media, these interactive displays also have whiteboarding applications that comes with the digital tools which makes the teacher's life easier. So let's dive deep into these factors and try to understand the comparison pointers that will help you to make an informed decision. Let's start with the hardware. The first thing is to check the build quality. Now, just by looking at it, you should be able to gauge its sturdiness and durability. Since it's going to be a long-time investment, the panel should inspire the confidence as a permanent solution. Take the toughened glass for example. It should have not just 6H or 7H but 9H hardness to ensure it's unbreakable. Also, similar to the tampered glass protection in the mobile phones, where both cheap and premium options are available, digital boards also comes pre-fitted with a toughened glass which can vary with different qualities. So keep an eye on the hardness of it. Next, let's consider the panel's color and finish. Like smartphones, silver and black displays are more common in the budget segment, while the white and the metallic grey indicate a premium quality. These are some notable pointers for you to assess the panel's finish and sturdiness. Next, let's discuss about the display quality. You know, most of the TVs, phone and screen-based appliances nowadays feature the 4K resolution. Digital boards are no exception. However, not all the 4K panels deliver the same quality. So, how do we test this? For example, when you look closely into the icons in some of the displays, they may appear slightly pixelated. So, we tested the same PDF image on different displays while one displayed a clear image whereas the other showed a pixelation. This kind of difference in display cannot be accepted. So, how is this difference appearing? The difference is often arising due to the panel's grading, such as A+, A-, B-, or even C-. Although many of them offer the 4K resolution, the grade affects the overall visual quality. So my suggestion is that you should always opt for A+ panels. Another key factor is the brightness, and this is majorly measured by the parameter called nits. Household TVs and displays typically have around 250 to 300 nits. But for the digital boards, they must offer higher brightness. So ideally, you should always choose an interactive display with at least 400 nits, though 450 is definitely recommended. Because higher brightness ensures better visibility in the larger classrooms and hence it enhances the clarity during the classes and also during the recordings. Of course, how do we test it? Well, here we can use a light meter which you can easily find in Amazon, or you should request your partner from whom you are buying to bring one and measure it before you purchase. If they refuse, then it's a clear indication that anyways the panel is not going to suffice the brightness. It is very suspicious actually. Alternatively, I would also suggest that ask them to give in writing that the brightness of the display is what they are claiming. This is very important because choosing a panel with a low brightness will give you a dull effect and can cause problems to the eyes of the students and the teachers who are exposed to these digital boards for more than 6 to 7 hours. We can't take a risk at it. So when we tested different panels, we were able to see a very noticeable difference in their brightness and the clarity for sure. Therefore, it is very much recommended that you always verify the brightness before you purchase. Many panels also have a feature called Eye Care, which is especially used in the classrooms where the digital board remains for the longer period of time. This is required because it reduces the eye strain. So when you would be knowing that you are going to spend long hours in front of the digital boards, you should definitely look at this feature as well. So let's move on to the next one. You need to check the availability of the ports in your interactive display. HDMI and USB ports are essential, but also having a Type-C is very important because it allows you to make single cable connections. You should definitely consider to these ports when you're selecting the digital board. And in case if you're getting additional ones, why not? It's anyways going to add more value. After this comes the audio quality. While our phones typically work fine with the standard audio, TVs need a better sound because multiple people watch together. Similarly, even in terms of digital boards also, you would need a higher audio quality because it's going to be used in a classroom where you're going to at least have 30 to 40 students. Good sound quality is essential for teaching along with video and audio. Bare minimum, you should have the digital boards with dual 20-watt speaker, and when you have a subwoofer, it's nothing like that. Also, check whether the speakers are front firing, because bottom firing speaker would not work because it would direct the sound downwards, which would create an echo effect. So a front firing speaker would give you much more higher clarity of audio, which is required in a classroom. So how do you test the audio quality? You can use a free decibel meter app, which is available on the App Store. Simply set the board's volume to the maximum and compare the decibel levels across different displays. It's very quick and an easy test, which can be directly done from your mobile phone. Hence, always keep these points in your mind when you're evaluating the audio quality of a digital board. So now that we have covered the display and the audio, let's talk about something which is actually happening inside the interactive display. There are two main components: the motherboard, which is similar to the CPU in the phones and the computers, and the next is going to be the power board. Actually, this is a very crucial aspect. Many panels which is imported from China using the combined boards when the motherboard and the power board are joined together to reduce the cost. However, this design increases the risk of failure. In a classroom where the boards run 7 to 8 hours daily, overheating is inevitable. Any voltage fluctuation can actually damage both the power supply and the motherboard. Repairing a motherboard can be as costly as the panel itself, and sourcing the replacement also involves a lot of delays and disruption in the classes. Trust me, I have spoken to hundreds of teachers who have faced this issue and their classes have been paused for more than a month at least. Hence, always ask the partner or the brand whether their display uses separate boards, as this design helps you to save your money on a longer run. Some interactive displays also include a built-in stabilizer that regulates the input voltage during fluctuations. This prevents excessive load on the interactive display. So confirm with your partner or the brand if your digital board do come with a built-in stabilizer or not. So the next is to check the basic specification of the processor. Ensure that it is going to be octa-core, because quad-core processors are already outdated and cannot keep up with the modern applications that we have today. This leads to a lag and the slowness in the performance. So always opt for the octa-core processor as a de facto. Different octa-core processors are available, which gives you a variation in the performance as well. So when you're comparing the brands, always check the AnTuTu score, which is a standard benchmark which is used for mobile phones and the devices. This score should be around 1,80,000. Do ask the manufacturer or the brand for the score to check the better performance. Finally, ensure that the processor also includes a built-in graphics card. Do you know why? Primarily for two reasons. The smooth rendering of images and videos, which is very crucial for multimedia-based teaching. And the second is the AI functionality, which allows you to use the advanced features without the internet connection. So to verify this, turn off the Wi-Fi and check if the AI features are still working. If they do, then which means that the interactive display has a graphics card. So in summary, prioritize these three things when you're selecting the processor. The motherboard and the power board should be separate. It should have an octa-core processor and it should have a built-in graphics card. So when it comes to the interactive displays, they are not like the regular TVs that you can control remotely. Teachers typically stand in the front of the digital board while they are teaching and use it like a whiteboard. So smooth touch performance is very important. Many teachers who are using the interactive displays have expressed that they have a laggy touch performance because their pen trails behind their writing and this disrupts their teaching experience. Teachers are used to have a seamless writing experience on the whiteboards where they have no lag, and if they have any lag when they are using the digital displays, they completely stop using it. So having a seamless touch performance is completely non-negotiable. Before we get into details of understanding how to check the touch performance, let's understand some basics of different type of touch technologies available. The resistive technology, which is commonly used in the ATM machines, as you know, it provides a very slow performance. The next is the capacitive technology. This is found in the smartphones. Though it is not ideal for writing, some of the phones do come with a stylus which uses a combination of electromagnetic and capacitive technology, so it supports both the finger and the pen touch. So the last being the optical touch technology, which is the best option for the digital boards. Within this category, we have the older IR technology, which is more prone to lag, while the advanced edge optical technology offers a ultra-fine smooth writing experience. So now I will tell you how you can test this yourself when you're using the interactive display. The first test is called as a grid test. Check if the digital board software has a square grid background option. In that, you write the numbers from 1 to 6 within the grid. If the writing appears smooth, then the digital board is likely to use the advanced IR or the edge optic touch technology. The next is the parallax test. Hold a stylus at an angle and observe the screen. The older IR touch panels will show a visible gap between the stylus tip and the screen, and this negatively impacts your writing experience. You should always avoid these digital displays with a considerable parallax. The last is going to be the stylus tip test. Boards with the ultra-fine touch technology usually come with a stylus that have a pinpointed tips, so they provide a good writing experience. Now, most of the interactive displays do come with a pinpointed stylus, but there are few which doesn't, so always avoid them. Additionally, verify that the digital display supports multi-touch functionality, which is essential for the features like zooming in and zoom out. And don't be misled of the exaggerated claims of having 20, 40 or even 100 touch points. What is the benefit? We only have 10 fingers, right? So now let's move on to the accessories. The first point is the camera and the microphone. While many of them would recommend that you should have a built-in camera and mic in the interactive display, trust me, they are definitely not the essentials. Since most of the teaching is going to happen on the digital board and the built-in camera is going to capture the front view, it's ideally not useful to record your display. Instead, consider having an external DSLR or a camcorder or a PTZ camera, which will usually capture the lecture in a perfect way. If you still prefer to have a built-in camera, choose a model that includes this feature. Otherwise, you can always add an external camera as an upgrade. Also ensure that the camera offers additional capabilities like class monitoring or teacher login or students response systems while conducting quizzes using the printed materials, which can actually save you a huge cost that you would be investing in clickers. If your camera is just going to be used for a mere video conferencing or online teaching, better you avoid it. Another accessory that some of the teachers are preferring today is through the NFC and the biometric login. While they are not essential features because you do have screen locks or separate login IDs which can work fine, if you still are opting for this feature, choose a model that has both NFC and biometric, because if your NFC card is misplaced, at least you can use a biometric feature where you can log in using your fingerprint. So yeah, these are some of the main accessories that you can consider to purchase along with your interactive display. Now that we have covered the hardware, let's move on to the software, starting with the operating system. So there are two main options for the OS, which is Windows and Android. While some of the brands may promote that Windows is the best and would suggest buying an additional OPS module, I would rather say it's not necessary. The reason is because the old whiteboarding applications are only functional on Windows OS and they weren't seamless with Android. But on the other side, today when you see, Android offers a lot of additional functionalities, and when combined with the octa-core processor, it promotes even better performance. If you would remember how Windows mobile phones were replaced by Android once they came in because of the greater functionality that they were availing. Similarly, Android panels are now the best preferred choice. While both the systems can be evaluated, and I would recommend to go with Android to avoid the additional cost of OPS module. Android panels come in two types, the EDLA, which is a Google certified variant, and the non-EDLA variant. EDLA panels allow Google account integration and has a seamless access to the Play Store, but this is typically unnecessary for teachers in the classroom because you would not open the personal apps or on the classroom display. Most teaching tasks are done within the whiteboarding application itself, so a non-EDLA panel is sufficient. However, if you prefer, you can go ahead with the authorized Android-based EDLA panel from a trusted brand. So now let's discuss about the whiteboarding software. As I said earlier, this is the heart and soul of the interactive display. This software literally shapes the entire teaching experience. So the first thing that you need to consider is the user interface of the software. Older software typically has a rigid interface because it's almost an outdated design, like a green toolbar that dates back then a decade. Surprisingly, many boards even today are coming with this software. So in contrast, let's talk about the modern whiteboarding software, which offers the customization options that allows teachers to personalize their UI according to their preference. For example, the toolbar that can be moved to different positions or adjusted to match the user's comfort level. So this flexibility is a significant advantage because teachers are not restricted to a single layout. Additionally, the interface is more intuitive and it becomes very easy for them to use. The additional tools like pen, highlighters, geometrical tools, shapes should be visible very clearly and it's more accessible. I mean, the teacher should be able to understand the use of these tools without wasting much time to figure out where they are and how to use. Since the time is very crucial in the classrooms, the interface plays a most important role. So moving ahead, we would like to take the look at all the tools which are very important. Digital board should provide solutions for every teacher, including math, physics, English, history, political science and more. So this is only possible when your digital display offers right tools which is tailored for each subject. Without these tools, it would be compared to a traditional blackboard because they would even seem to be more effective. To maximize the utility, the digital board should support the teachers from all the disciplinaries, including art and music as well, ensuring that it enhances a holistic curriculum. So content is a crucial aspect of teaching, and there are three main types to consider how the content is delivered with your interactive displays. The first being the user-based content. Schools, tutors and coaching centers often have their own content in the various formats like PDF, PPT and Word. Modern digital boards would support the import of any kind of these formats wirelessly even without the need of hotspot or any network. Unlike the older panels that would ask you to convert the PPT to PDFs a lot of times. Another advantage in good interactive displays is that you can import files directly in high resolution with the full screen option, while in others it's a big task. Additionally, the ability to import specific pages from the large documents also saves a lot of time. The next being the AI generated content. So teachers now can create content in real time using the modern integrated AI tools in the whiteboarding software. Unlike using generic AI tools like ChatGPT, these specifically built AI tool features generating text, images, videos, quizzes which are tailored for the grades and curriculum. Also, be cautious of misleading claims that the true AI integration means AI integrated to the whiteboarding software and not appearing as an external app. Hence, always ask your interactive display provider whether the AI is an integrated tool or just an add-on. The third point being the physical content. In case if you prefer to have your physical book and use the content from that, you have document cameras which is available online to buy and then scan the textbook and add it onto the whiteboarding software. Alternatively, teachers can also capture the content using their smartphone and import it to the board, and this could also be a cost-effective option. So now the teacher should have a capability to teach with your existing content as well. So literally, when you have all of these types of content sorted, now the teacher will be able to teach the way they want. So now let's move on to the next aspect, which is the cloud. Most of the digital boards offer a cloud storage, which is similar to the services like iCloud or Google Photos. This eliminates the need to store your data onto the device and to ensure that you bring them to the classroom. So this makes it more accessible and safe. So the boards that provide up to 5 GB cloud storage, you could definitely take the advantage of this particular feature. Additionally, check whether the interactive display comes with a teaching app which helps you to access this even remotely. This app helps the teachers to use the same tools, access the cloud storage wherever they are, and helps them to prepare their lessons more conveniently. So ensure this functionality is available when you're choosing your digital board, because this could be a magic for you to access all the lessons even before the classroom or after the classroom. Beyond all the common features, some digital boards offer interactive elements that could add up to your teaching experience. And this could include virtual lab experiments, built-in 3D models, interactive educational games, and tools for conducting quizzes or tests in the classroom. So such feature can make your teaching and learning environment more engaging and dynamic. So in case if you get all of them bundled together in your interactive display, this is definitely the best. So now, as you see, choosing the right digital board becomes so simple, right? So when a digital board meets all these criteria, you can confidently choose that brand for your own use. And if you're still worried about how do you remember these points, don't worry, we have provided a QR code on the screen and a link in the description for a free app that will help you to evaluate the digital boards without any brand bias. Just use it the next time when you plan to buy a digital board to simplify your decision-making process. We hope you find this video very helpful and all your doubts about the interactive displays are now cleared. So if you still have any questions, you can feel free to mention them as comments below, and we will try to address them in the future videos. Thank you.